So let's move to the campaign trail and this battle building between Donald Trump and Jeb Bush.
Jeb Bush is a low-energy person. For him to get things done is hard.
Mr. Trump doesn't have a proven conservative record. He was a Democrat longer in the last decade than he was a Republican.
The reason I talk about Jeb is, he was supposed to do well in New Hampshire. He's, going down like a rock.
People are very angry about how Washington's not working. He's tapped into that. I respect people that feel the way they do, for sure. But when people look at his record, it is not a conservative record.
You know what's happening to Jeb's crowd, as you know, right down the street? They're sleeping. They're sleeping now.
All right, guys, and this fight is just getting started. To Ashley Pratte and Katie Pavlik on how they see it all playing out. All right, Katie, tell me, Donald Trump certainly has a wind in the sail, and he's walking with a lot of swagger these days.
He is walking with a lot of swagger. He's always walked with a lot of swagger. That's why he's Donald Trump. But look, Donald Trump has set his sights on Jeb Bush. He's done a very good job of making his supporters think either Donald Trump or Jeb Bush. There are no other choices in the race. But what he fails to point out is that Donald Trump and Jeb Bush actually have a lot in common when it comes to being unfavorable among voters. There's that CNN poll this week that came out that everyone's talking about, showing Jeb Bush and Donald Trump neck and neck when it comes to unfavorability with the country. And the reason that's important is because they universally are known to American voters. It's not like they don't have name recognition. People know who they are. So they have to do something better. And I don't know if sniping at each other is going to get them there, but they have to do something to get those favorability numbers up in order to win the nomination.
Well, I got to tell you, Ashley, Trump is going to have an event in Alabama. It started out with like a ballroom, and now it's in a football stadium, 50,000 people. It's resonating. There's no doubt about it. And I got to tell you something. When I do see Jeb Bush and a whole lot of the other GOP hopefuls, they do sort of put me to sleep. I feel narcoleptic watching these guys. They don't have the jolt. Forget about policies and everything else. They're just not bringing the electricity.
I don't know about that, Charles. The past few days, Jeb Bush has not been putting me to sleep, and he never has. The point here is that Trump comes out and says something. What has Jeb Bush done? Has he been able to get stuff done? He has. He has a tested and proven conservative record, which is why Trump is going after him, because he doesn't have one. Trump is running right now on bloviations. He goes out there and says what he wants, and people are eating it up. But you know what? At the end of the day, that star is soon sure to fade, and you have Jeb Bush there, who is tested on these things. He cut taxes. Guess what Trump is doing? He's proposing tax hikes on the wealthiest Americans. That sounds a whole heck of a lot like Hillary Clinton. Doesn't sound very conservative to me. I mean, he's up, he's down. In Time magazine, he's saying he doesn't know if he's a Democrat or not. I mean, everyone's wondering that, and Jeb Bush is out there saying, look, we need a tested and true conservative leader, and I'm here to provide that. And I would much rather that than someone who's going to do things just like Hillary Clinton would.
Here's the thing, though, Katie. Ironically, I think you can question both men's conservatism if you go back. A lot of people call Jeb Bush a rhino, let's face it, and yet the conservatives have rallied around Donald Trump, in part because I think he's gotten them excited and they can live with some of the other things that maybe he won't give up, maybe some of the tax policies, maybe some of these social issues. I don't know. At the moment right now, Katie, at the moment right now, whether I know the experts say that this is a shooting star, it's going to explode like a Roman candle, but at the very moment, he is hogging up all the oxygen in the room.
Well, and I think it's really important to point out that although Donald Trump is the, quote, front runner, he's the front runner in a field of 17 people. So that doesn't mean he has a whole lot of support. And I also think it's important to point out that Jeb Bush, like a lot of other Republicans, are finally going after Donald Trump's record rather than just responding to him with silly jokes as he's done to him. There aren't a lot of specifics here. And when people start pointing out Donald Trump's record, they're ironically going to find out that Jeb Bush is far more conservative than Donald Trump. Is Jeb Bush the most conservative candidate in the field? Absolutely not, but that doesn't make Donald Trump a better candidate for conservatives.
All right, Ashley, real quick to you. There's scuttlebutt out there. Charlie Gasparino telling us yesterday that some of these big guys like Jeb Bush are going to spend a whole bunch of money real soon. I wouldn't call it a smear campaign, but to illuminate the public on Donald Trump sooner than they thought. Obviously, something of a sign of panic, but necessary, right?
I think it's definitely necessary to expose, his less than stellar record on things, if you could even say that he has a record. And I think it's important to go out there and do that because voters right now are somewhat confused as to why Donald Trump is in this race. I know I am, because it doesn't seem to make much sense. He doesn't really know what party he belongs to. He doesn't really know what he stands for.
I know what you're saying, but I tell you right now, guys, I mean, we cannot ignore the pulse of the country or what's happening.
We need a tested and true conservative leader.